Travis, my good soul. I should thank the few of you who have sent your condolences. I appreciate that. It would be one thing if I had been notified by my siblings that my mom passed away, but to find out over the internet, it confirms that my family never did love me, that I was betrayed by them despite being their family member. And I've gotten used to it, and it probably is what helped me with the betrayal of Mormons towards me. I guess it hardened me to withstand the blow that I got from moving to Utah. But it is still sad to encounter such evil, such deep, dark evil. From those who are frauds, who on the outward appearance let everybody believe they're the good guys, the one true good guys. I think back on the FLDS church led by Warren Jeffs when the FBI came in and put a stop to their SNAP fraud violations, which then was added the extra stuff of child brides. They really didn't go after them for polygamy. It was the underage child brides that Warren Jeff himself got involved with that got him imprisoned. Because the SNAP fraud violations, that was just, you know, the bishops that got arrested for that, and if they had testified against the Jeffs, they were set free to go back as a warning not to steal SNAP fraud violation, or not to steal SNAP benefits. And of course, the government now knows, so they pretty much can't file for SNAP benefits anymore because they violated the law in that regard. And it's sad, because if you know how things were being run, how the bishops and the Jeffs were living off of the women and children, you kind of feel sorry for the women and children. But as the government tried to separate the children from the mothers, an instant panic arose in the community and the lawyers, and so they had to put the kids back together with the DNA matched parent, the mother. But as Mormons, I saw lots of Mormons discussing how, yeah, of course, because they're the false church, They're not the true church. And they get all excited about Warren Jeff's confession while in prison, or in jail, I guess, being interviewed by the cops, interrogated without a lawyer present, without his Miranda rights, confessing that he's not a true prophet. Mormons go, yeah, got him. What if he still said he was the true prophet? But his followers, I don't even think they use the internet to know that he had confessed. But they still, to this day, from what I have seen in news reports, the women still have his picture on their walls, just like Mormons have pictures of Nelson and the other prophets and the temples and Jesus. You know, the FLDS Church still believes that Brigham Young was the true successor of Joseph Smith. They still believe Adam is our Heavenly Father. They still believe in temple worship. It's a little bit different. Apparently they lost the text and nobody had it memorized. So I guess it's pretty much just sealings. Not too familiar. It's kind of difficult to find information on it. I'm not sure if they have the magic underwear, because if you don't understand, or you don't have memorized the veil that explains the marks on the garments, it sort of defeats the purpose to have the magic underwear. But they still wear the prairie costumes. But yeah, they still believe they were persecuted by their government. Their government needed to leave them alone, that they should be allowed to continue to commit SNAP fraud violations and child bride weddings. They are so lost in their traditional religious practices that they do not recognize that they were committing crime. So yeah, likewise Mormons. The incident with Stockholm Syndrome was with that bank robbery, and a psychologist analyzed it and recognized the response when interviewed afterward. And people have then abused that, psychologists mostly, have abused that to commit Stockholm Syndrome on their clients. As many people believe that psychology is a helpful thing for mental health. Punish criminals. That will be the best cure for people's feelings, to change them back into happiness. Because when people don't get punished for their crimes, people continue to live in fear. They don't trust the government to protect them, and to just be sent to a psycho to tell you that your feelings are validated, and you need to embrace those feelings, and there's nothing you can do about the government failing us. And so you have to learn to cope. You need to learn how to be in the same grocery store with the guy who raped you. And sit next to him in church. Because there's nothing you can do. It's out of your hands. So you need to take control of your own feelings. They're such evil people. And likewise the church. People are suffering right now all over the world, but especially in Mormonism. Mormons are suffering. We have been told for generations to have a year's supply of food for the latter days. And for any other freak natural disaster or any kind of misfortune, such as losing a job or whatever. And now we are in a situation, we're going on to year 3 with the third big wave, where our year's supply has run out already if we followed the medical professionals and stayed home and stayed safe to allow it to pass over. But it's not passing over because nobody's following the medical professionals from the beginning. And the church isn't helping, they're hurting the matter. They have weekly updates on how the churches are open and the temples are opened, as we're still in a pandemic. And they keep saying self-reliance. They keep saying, oh, the healing power of Jesus, healing power of gratitude, hold a fast, just have faith, it'll cure, you'll be cured, you'll be healed, you'll be at peace. That's exactly what psychos do. They tell you that despite the chaos, because of evil people, that you need to be at peace, because there's nothing you can do about it. You just gotta let it happen. It's the new normal, so it's up to you, the victim, to be at peace. And yeah, we get billionaires now that are coming out exposing the church for causing harm when they have the ability to do good, to heal, literally, to pull people out of poverty, to rescue people, and they just don't. Because self-reliance. Oh, natural disaster? Oh, just put your trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord doesn't rebuild your home, doesn't heal you from a pandemic, doesn't make it go away, it doesn't bring your loved ones back to life. And so it's disheartening to witness Mormons who witness the evil of the church, and instead of, like the majority of us who said I'm out, are still clinging to the church, just like the FLDS women and children. They still put the pictures of the presidents and the temple on their homes. They just dismiss, deny, refuse to listen when people point out the crimes, abuses, the harm, even the symbols of hate, the words of hate. They redefine it, reinterpret it, so that it conforms to their little safety bubble. And as a result, they become the weapons of the church prophets, going out and causing harm to others. You know, when somebody does a video about how his mother has died, when YouTube has permanently shut off viewing of dislikes for all videos, and everybody should know this, when you see dislike, it means your dislike will not be shown to other people. It'll only be shown to the Creator. And to see thumbs down on a video where I banned both, I didn't even allow thumbs up on that one. It wasn't a thing for popularity. I allowed for comments. Like I said, I appreciate those who gave condolences for me. But to see those who put a thumbs down during a time when I found out the hard way that my mom died because my family does not love me, and to see Mormons demonstrate that they don't love, that they don't want to be Christ-like, and they lie, saying, I am Mormon, I'm the chosen one, I am Christ-like by nature, by my birthright, born in the covenant. It's just sickening to see such darkened evil, such hate. And so I don't know if the remaining faithful Mormons, I guess it should be loyal rather than faithful, because they don't believe. They just are loyal. They defend the church rather than the gospel. And so I don't know if it's because they're in the Temple Square syndrome, being held hostage, and they've fallen in love with their captors, the prophets, and so they defend the prophets and the church at all costs because they've been brainwashed, hypnotized, indoctrinated, re-educated, deceiving themselves. And maybe it's because they are afraid of the reality, that they've gone into shock and created a shelter world in their mind where everything gets interpreted as faith promoting. Oh, the prophet said that my husband should take another wife. Yay, the church is true. Jesus is true. Oh, I have to leave my husband and go be married to one of the apostles who are 50 years older than me. And I just got married to my husband. Oh no, church is true. Jesus is true. It's what Jesus wants. Oh, the prophets demand that we give 10% of our income, which is not enough for us to live in the first place, and we still have to give, and the bishop won't give us assistance because we need to get a job. I've seen that, but I don't know if it's the majority of the few cases that are left comparative to the 16 million who are technically baptized. But clearly there's upwards of 15 million now who are just not wanting anything to do with the church anymore. The other scenario is that the remaining Mormons, for the majority, because I still know some who are held hostage and living in the bubble world. My second ex, for example. I can only see them as complicit, knowing the church is fraud, a fraud, knowing the church lies, knowing the church is evil and criminal, and they embrace it. And they emulate it. And that's scary. Literally scary. But I mean, dear God, to put a thumbs down that no one else but the creator of the video can see when he talks about his mom dying. That's sick. You guys got something wrong with you. I mean, it's one thing to just, oh, he put up another video, thumbs down, run away, never even bothering to watch it. But it's another to know the title, My Mom is Dead, and to still go through the motions? No, there's something really wrong with you guys. Nephi, when he's on the boat, tries to tell his brothers to behave, because he knows that they're placing everybody's life in danger. And so he tells them to stop. He reminds them of all that they refused to believe were possible, that was possible. They accomplished it. You know, even though it's a story form, even though the majority of us know that Sidney Rigdon's the major author, but Senior is the author of the 116 pages rewritten, it's still a story and it has a moral. That Nephi has to remind them, you know, you guys didn't want to leave, and we left, and we're alive. We're not dead. And then you guys complained that we can't go and get the brass plates. You said it was impossible, that we were going to be killed. Well, here they are. We got them. And you thought it was impossible that I could build a boat and survive in the journey to get to Bountiful to build the boat. And here we are. We're on a boat. It floats. And still, they could not be good. And after Nephi again condemns them for disbelieving, continuing to be bad, their immediate first response is they're going to kill them. This is Mormons. I do a video, and Mormons' first immediate response, we gotta silence Travis. We gotta show him he's wrong by putting a thumbs down and sending him a death threat. that'll prove the church is true. It doesn't. It doesn't. It just shows the world who happens to stumble across and go, dear God, I want nothing to do with this kind of church, where the members defend it at all costs, even to commit crime, sending people who are pointing out truth about the church. You know, it is a fact that Sidney Rigdon is the major author. Whether he knew he was the author, or whether he was plagiarized himself. You know, because maybe he was rewriting the Solomon Spaulding manuscript to self-publish it, and the Smiths happened to come across it and steal it from him. You know, the fact that Sidney Rigdon joined the church in December of that year sort of lends to the first option, right? First option, that he was a part of it, that he was in on it. It's a fact that Joseph Smith was arrested for glass looking. $2.68 misdemeanor charge. And so when you read over the 1838 history about the first vision, he's talking about glass looking with the Methodists, where he lost 116 pages because of the death of his son. Went to Emma's parents' church, the Methodists. They weren't happy about him being a visionary man, in other words, a glass looker, and getting arrested for it. But Mormons want to live in their little fantasy bubble. No, it's real history. It was actually Heavenly Father, not Adam, because we're different from the other branch-offs. And it was Jesus, clueless about what Joseph is talking about when he says that Christianity is all wrong and that their creeds are an abomination. Mormons don't want to do any research on Christian creeds to find out why it's an abomination. And so they don't want to hear anything about Constantine, the first Nicene Council with the first Nicene Creed that started it all, where Jesus became a historical character rather than the Gospels just being the regular apocalyptic literature which was common at the time. Put a link on the video this morning about it. See, those who do the research know that was my field of study. I did the research. I know. I'm trying to teach you guys. So I'm not teaching Christians, because I'm not Christian. But if a Christian's gonna come tell me that Jesus Christ is real, I'm gonna have to put him in his place. And I've had to do that. You can't perpetuate lies and think that that's good, because it leads to destruction. Lying about church history causes people to repeat the bad part about church history. You go around thinking it was the mob who murdered Joseph. You go around thinking it was Joseph Smith who approved polygamy. You continue to believe that Joseph Smith wasn't a translator, it was just revelation, but he separates revelator and translator. Oh, but the prophets figured that one out. They just dropped translator. You continue to believe the Book of Mormon is literal history, just like Christians believe the New Testament is literal history, just like the Jews believe the Old Testament, the Torah, is literal history. When their first clue is that when they find an anachronism, they should stop and go, wait a minute, maybe this isn't history, maybe this is something else, and it's trying to teach a moral message. But to have people not know what a fact is from an opinion, from hearsay, you know, somebody saying that Joseph Smith was a polygamist, that's hearsay. Even if they claim that they were one of his wives, it's still hearsay. You have to look for the evidence, and there isn't any. The evidence supports Joseph Smith as being against it, that it was practiced in secret behind his back by the Danites, who were the ones getting Joseph in trouble for what they were doing, so that they can get him out of the way so that they could run the church. And he kept getting out of jail, and so they had to have him murdered. It's a whole new church history when you use the facts. You put all the facts together. And then you see the true evil that destroyed his church and took it over and completely changed it. And then you realize that it was wrong, that it was evil, and that you shouldn't be complicit in the perpetuation of that evil and those lies and those crimes and corruption. So I hope that all the Mormons who are still loyal are just being held hostage and need to be freed. Because to know of Mormons who are literally complicit, desiring to be the prophet's sword of vengeance on ex-Mormons and anybody who dares oppose the church, to want to resurrect Deseret Nation in counter to America and the Constitution. They should know the Constitution was divinely inspired by Jesus. So why would they want another government to overthrow the Constitution? What the hell are they thinking? Using symbols of weapons from the Book of Mormon even to justify and then to claim to the press or to the government, oh no, we're not a hate group. We're just trying to get people to obey the prophets. Southern Poverty Law Center, I don't know what they are thinking. It's a hate group. Label them as such. Tiankum's javelin. Dear God. So, I'll post this in the morning.